Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections drown me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents do you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections drown me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents do you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections round me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents to you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections round me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents to you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections round me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents to you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it.
Golden Sessions with doc.PEACE on KNSJ 89.1 FM. I'm your host, doc.PEACE, Doctor of Pharmacy, Transformational Rhythmic Speaker, and Empress of Empowerment Calibration. As a business coach, I empower conscious luminaries to transform their creativity and expertise into abundant soul purpose. Golden Sessions is a time for us to connect, to reset, with doses of inspiration to empower our confidence and foster global unity. So if you're looking for a dose of inspiration to empower your confidence in the face of any obstacle, you're in the right place. During this segment, we feature golden starlings from all over the world who are shining their light bright to ignite our light and remind us all that together we thrive. Today we have an incredible guest, Miss Jillie Johnston, Mrs. Jillie Johnston. Jillie is a worthiness coach, speaker, and podcast host of the Worthiness Mindset. She helps people see and cultivate their sense of self-worth to create a life that sets their soul on fire. Whew! Welcome, Jillie.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me and just like creating this space and shining your light and giving me an opportunity to shine mine, because that's, I think, the biggest thing you and I have connected on is we truly believe that together we thrive. So thank you for thriving, because I can thrive too.
You are so very welcome. Thank you for shining and for thriving. Let's get right on into it. I'm curious, how did you get to this place of worthiness, of feeling worthiness?
Such a good question. And I think and we all know this, right? And we've heard it a million times that we teach the thing that we need most, right? And so of course, the thing that has been my biggest lesson, my biggest invitation in my life, and the lesson that continually comes back over and over and over again, is to embody and step into my worth and my enoughness. And so the definition of worthiness is the quality of being good enough. And if we look at that definition, we all have the I'm not blank enough story. Right? Yeah. I'm not good enough, smart enough, successful enough, pretty enough, thin enough, intelligent, whatever it is, we have that. And so for me, right, like that has been my story of like, in order to be loved, I have to be perfect. I'm a recovering people pleaser. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I've always tied my worth to achievements, to approval, to results, everything outside of myself, until one day I finally was shaken to my core, to the point where I realized something had to give and something had to change. And that's when I had to really realize, what did it mean to be worthy? What did it mean to be good enough? And learn to see myself in that light.
So what was this moment, this shifting moment, that you realized that perhaps this definition of worthiness that we might have told ourselves in the past was not the definition of worthiness that you wanted to now embody?
Yeah, another great question. It's like, you do this for a living. So a few of them, but the one that I'm going to share today that I think was the most impactful was the moment that I realized that it didn't matter how many times I moved countries and cities and changed jobs and changed relationships and always changed the circumstance. Right? I was always seeking outside of myself. So I would find a different job. And I was like, one of those people that jumped from place to place because I believed that a place or a person could make me happy, or a place or a person could help me feel enough, right? Fill this void that I felt inside of myself. And so after I moved for probably the 15th time in just a few years, in like 5 years, I realized I was still lonely. I still felt empty, still felt like a burden on other people. I still didn't feel good enough. And it was in that moment where I was like, okay, what is the one common denominator in all of this? Let's take a good, long, hard look in the mirror, right? And say, okay, well, it's me. So what if it isn't changing all of these things outside of me? What if it is a shift? And I'm going to say simple, but simple is not easy. Simple does not mean easy, but a simple shift in saying, okay, let's look in the mirror and like, let's look inside of you, and let's look at you and see, how are you enough already? How are you worthy already? And how can we cultivate that? And what else could happen in your life? What else could be possible?
So once you ask yourself that question, what did that reflection in the mirror respond?
Yeah. And so then I decided to try it on, right? I decided to say, okay, I've lived my life this way thus far, and I know the results that it gives me, right? The burnout, the fatigue, the exhaustion, the emptiness, the loneliness. Okay, so if I tried this new one on, what else could it create? Right? And so I tried it on. I was willing to be wrong. I was willing to do something different. I was willing to try something on, and actually, on top of that, get support in that, right? Hire coaches, go to therapy, do the things that I need to do, really throw myself into this community and the ideas and the mindset that would support me in changing my mindset. So I inundated myself with the new beliefs and the new thoughts and the new way of being and thinking of how I wanted to be and how I wanted to feel. Okay, so if we think about that, what happened, right? Within a few years, I started my coaching business, right? I'm a worthiness coach. I started my coaching business. I became an international speaker. I started speaking at Fortune 500 companies. I left my corporate job. I started my business. I have officially hit 6 figures. I'm debt free. I'm in the loving relationship, like best relationship I could ever imagine ever being. I live in a van that I helped build, travel around the country, and get to live every single value of mine to the highest that I could ever imagine. And simultaneously help literally thousands of people all around the world. So like, and as I'm saying this, like, it's so powerful. I have goosebumps because sometimes we forget to see ourselves in that way. And sometimes we forget to acknowledge ourselves. And this is such a great reminder. It didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It didn't happen overnight.
It never does. It never happens overnight. Change is a continuous process. And it sounds like you, even though you've hit this version of success, right? You've hit a lot of milestones in your life. It sounds like you're still on this journey of succeeding. You're still on this journey of creating your golden empire. You're still on your journey of thriving.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, because we never get there. Go ahead.
It's a journey. It's a journey. So I'm on your email list, and I regularly get these emails from you on worthiness. And it's so incredible how many ways and how you can continuously push out and release so much incredible guidance and support along these lines of worthiness. You're sharing your story, you're sharing your message, and it's all around the same topic of worthiness. And it's just like, wow, it's incredible.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, what an amazing compliment.
You're welcome. It's true. So how is it that every single moment in your life is tied to worthiness? How is it that you can relate all of these incredible pieces of your life story and tie it into this message of being worthy?
Man, another great question. I think it's because, one, I truly fundamentally believe that worthiness is the foundation of everything. I truly fundamentally believe that until we truly believe that we are worthy of something and having that thing, that capacity to have, feeling worthy of having, unless we truly believe that we are worthy of it, we will self-sabotage, we will push away, we'll get in our own way. And so that's why I believe it. I look at my life and I say, hold on a second. Where is the energy in which I made this decision? Where is the energy in which I took this action? Where is the energy coming from? Is it coming from a place of enoughness, or is it coming from a place of not enoughness? Ooh, and every single time I can draw that fork then.
Is it coming from a place of enoughness or not enoughness?
Or not enoughness. Yes. Every single time, every decision you make, every conversation you have, every action you take, you can directly correlate it. And this is what I do, and this is what I help people do. Is it coming from a place of enoughness, or is it coming from a place of not enoughness? And the question you can ask yourself in order to know it and begin to peer into your own mind is, if I knew that I was enough with every cell in my being, if I knew that I was worthy of it all, of everything I want, everything I desire, if I knew with every cell in my being, what decision would I make? What action would I take? What would I do?
Whew. Okay. Wow. That's so powerful. If you made that decision, if you asked yourself before you made every decision that question, how would your life be different? So, I mean, when did you start asking yourself this question?
I think it was about 2.5 years ago when I started my business, right? And before, I would talk a lot about self-love, and like that's always, and I really consider myself a life coach, and I still do, but I do it through the lens of worthiness, which is why I call myself a worthiness coach, because I realized when I started, and people will talk about, is it coming from fear? Is it coming from abundance, right? Fear or love, right? Yeah. And to me, it's enoughness or not enoughness. And when I began to, not from a judgmental way, but from an objective way, look at myself, my decisions in my life, and say, okay, let's just be honest, without judgment, without criticism, where did that come from? And what I saw, and the correlation that I saw in my life, my clients' lives, the people that I worked with, was when it came from a place of enoughness, that it would just produce, it would compound, the growth would compound, the results would compound, and it would just grow and rocket. And so then I just started doing it more and really started playing with it and testing it. And that's what kept coming up.
Wow. That's incredible. So in this past year, I know that it's been, quite a struggle for a lot of people this past year, lots of changes. How would you say that this worthiness mindset has helped you and your clients and your community get through this past year?
This past year has been all about grace and compassion, right? Giving yourself grace and compassion, giving other people grace and compassion. If you truly believe that you're not enough, if you truly believe that you're not worthy, you will not give yourself the time, the space to rest, to heal, to grow, to transform, right? And that's what I'm seeing with so many people, is the people who really come from this place of not enoughness, right? They try to prove, they overcompensate. They're these really high achievers that think hustling and grinding is the way that they can feel good about themselves, right? Because of the narrative that's going on in their head. And so the people that I work with, my community who follows me, my clients, myself, what I've really had to look at is, but I need to rest. Yeah. I'm tired too, right? I've dealt with significant loss in my personal life this year because of COVID, because of things that have gone on, that grief and change has had to literally stop me in my tracks. And I've had to look at myself and say, you know what? You're still enough. You're still enough, even if you literally cannot get out of bed, right? Even though that you cannot continue to do what you've always done, look at yourself and say, I love you. I see you. You're still enough. And we're going to get through this. And coming from that place, that's the message that people need to hear.
I love you. I see you. We are going to get through this. How beautiful. Jillie, you are absolutely incredible. And I'm really excited to dive more into on how we can all embody this worthiness mindset when we get back. You're listening to Golden Sessions with doc.PEACE on KNSJ 89.1 FM with our incredible guest, Jillie Johnston. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. So stay tuned.
Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections ground me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents to you or I any good?
You're listening to Golden Sessions with doc.PEACE on KNSJ 89.1 FM. I'm doc.PEACE, and we are here with our incredible guest, Jillie Johnston. Let's get back into it. So, Jillie, we were about to get deep there on embodying mindset before we took our break, and I really want to jump right back on in. So, it sounds like this embodiment of worthiness is a journey, right? It's not something that you are immediately, you wake up and you're like, okay, I'm worthy now. So in your journey, what are some moments where you had to push through and overcome any feeling of not enoughness?
Yeah. And I'm going to share something that I have yet to share publicly. And I think this is the right time. And for me, I had a friend say this: I heal publicly so that others can heal in private. And I think that that's so important to embody and be in integrity and authentic with. And so and I said this in the beginning, like, as I shared all of these successes and where I kind of have come from and where I am now, we all, without even realizing it, we all have this upper limit of what we believe that we can have for ourselves. I've hit that upper limit. And in the past week, like, I have the most incredible life. And so many times I look and I still question and say, like, how am I worthy of this life? Right. And I'm saying this because I want everyone to hear that as like an expert in worthiness and as someone who lives and breathes and practices this every day, there's still not a day where I don't ask that of myself. Right. And so a couple weeks ago, I went on this trip with my friends and I was flying, and I'm already a nervous flyer. But what I realized was on my way back, I did not think I was going to make it off that plane. And not because of turbulence, even though it was a terribly turbulent flight. When I said goodbye to Robbie, who's my fiance, I left him thinking that I was never going to see him again, because I hit this, without realizing it, I hit this upper limit of what I believed that I was worthy of. And when the plane landed, I started clapping. I was the only one clapping on the plane. But there was this thing of like, you're not done yet. And yet you're the worthiness coach, you're the worthiness expert, and you've been doubting yourself, and you've been not allowing yourself to see and to have all that you've created, all that you've stepped into, and all that you've embodied. And the next day I was still carrying this fear and this trauma like in my body. And I sat on Robbie's lap and I sobbed, and I was like, I need to admit, and I need to share, and I need to own the fact that I hit my upper limit, and how beautiful is it that I got to embody and step into. And now I'm being invited to grow and to be and to share and to be an example, right? Because I'm not the only one who experiences this. And so if you have And yet this is the thing, right? Is I'm also willing and know I need to look at myself and say, what beliefs do you have about yourself? How do you not feel worthy? Because I'm no longer willing to let this go. I'm no longer willing to sabotage. I'm no longer willing to get in my own way. And I can go first, and I can be an example, and I can step into my worthiness in a whole new way so that I can lead thousands of more people to do the same.
Mm, how beautiful is that? So you allow yourself to be in this vulnerable space of healing in public so that others
Mm-hmm.
can heal in private.
Yes.
Whew. Okay.
And I think it's important just to distinguish there's a difference between healing in public from not enoughness for the validation and reassurance, right? Versus I know that I'm enough even though I went through this. And now I'm sharing with you, not because I need validation, not because I need permission, but because I want you to see yourself in me.
You are more than enough. You're more than enough. I'm more than enough. We are more than enough. Whew. So, Jillie, you've shared with us already so many different exercises that we could use regularly to embody this worthiness mindset. If you were to summarize and maybe share three specific ways that we can now take with us and put into practice today, what three exercises would you share? What three exercises could we do right now, today, to embody this worthiness mindset?
I think one is inundate and surround yourself with people, books, music, radio shows, right? The messages that you want and need to embody, you need to inundate yourself with them as much as possible, because that is how we rewire our brain. That is how we break neural pathways. That's how we create a new story and a new narrative and a new tape that plays over and over and over in our head. And I think that has been huge, right? To have these things reflect back to me and to us the truth that we want to believe, right?
Yeah.
So that's one. Two, I want you to look and write down the question of like, how am I enough already? How am I sufficient already? Right? And I want you to go through and I want you to find 20 reasons, right? And I say 20 because I want it to push you. I want it to challenge you of how you are enough, right? Find evidence in your life, evidence in your relationships, evidence within yourself, right? And you can also find evidence outside of yourself, right? To know that you can show up in a certain way and like you are still alive, you are still here, you are still breathing, you are still enough, right? And then the third question would be, where is this coming from, right? This idea, where is the energy in which I'm taking this action from? Is it a place of, I don't believe I'm enough, so I'm trying to prove, I'm trying to overcompensate, I'm getting defensive, I'm afraid of being wrong because of what it will mean about me, right? Or is it coming from a place of, I'm enough no matter what? And so I can embody that, I can breathe that, I can lean into that, I can begin to believe that that is true for me. Right? Because so many times we think that we can go from, I don't feel enough, I'm petrified of showing myself, I'm so afraid of not being enough, to, oh, of course I'm enough, right? You can't make that jump. So in the middle is, I'm willing to see myself differently. I'm willing to see how I am enough already, right? And then find evidence for that. And if you knew without a shadow of a doubt that you were enough, what would you do, say, and think?
Beautiful. It sounds like this is a perfect combination of inner and outer work. Putting in that inner work, taking that deeper dive within, and then taking the action steps to surround yourself with people and places and things and words and sounds that really, really allow you to fully embody that worthiness mindset, that allow you to fully thrive, that allow you to fully be present, that allow you to fully be your true self, that don't suppress who you are and suppress and bring in that negative mindset. So it sounds like this is some deep work right here. This isn't something that you could just, again, wake up and say, hey, I'm worthy. It's a process. But it also sounds like there's ways that we can truly do these exercises and really put in this work. Yeah, of course. And here's the thing, right?
is even the things that are outside of ourselves, all they are reflections and invitations to look inside of ourselves, right? And this is the such important piece around this idea of like, together we thrive. It doesn't have to be jealousy. It doesn't have to be triggering. It doesn't have to be anything negative. It could be, wait, as I watch Peace thrive, and as I see her grow and shine, any insecurity that's in me is only an invitation for me to see myself in the same light, right? And like one of my friends and I, we were doing this the other day. I like was sharing like all these new goals that I have for myself in my life now that I've like shed this other piece and allowed that to die and release from me. Now I'm like free to dream and imagine and step into that. And she was like, Jillie, I see you and all that. Like, I know that it's done. I already see it in done energy, but I can't see it for myself. And I was like, well, it sounds like we both need to write down the qualities that we admire in the other person of why it's in that done energy and why we believe in them, and then see those qualities within ourselves. Right? And that's like, because all of it is an invitation. There's not actually anything out there that's outside of you if you see it in the I'm putting air quotes around this, like right light, because it's not right or wrong, but in the light that's empowering for you.
Whew. I love this conversation because I too was thinking a similar thing the other day. Does somebody else's success mean my failure? Does somebody else's success equal that I failed? And the answer is a resounding no.
Right.
But I feel like society and a lot of us really have gone into this mindset thinking, okay, if that person is succeeding over there, for some reason that makes me a failure because I'm not at the level of their success.
Right.
So how does this worthiness mindset in that moment, how can you apply this worthiness mindset? What exercise could we apply in this moment to pull ourselves out of this feeling of failure?
Yeah. I'm so glad you asked that, because I was going to go there anyways. And I was like, wait, let's see if she's going to ask this question. So, okay. So when this person's success, right, that's a circumstance, right? That's, or not even, it could be a circumstance, right? But more, that's a thought. That's a thought about the person, because you don't actually know what's going on in their life, right? You see what's going on in social media. You see, what they're portraying, but behind the scenes, you don't actually know. So first it's a thought, and recognizing and having the awareness of, okay, well, I'm thinking that's what I believe is true. And what am I making this mean about me? Well, I'm making it mean that I'm not enough, because if I was enough, I would be in her shoes or his shoes, right? If I was worthy and had it all and was in, and there wasn't something wrong with me, right? If I was whole and enough, I would have what they had, but I'm not, right? That's what we make it mean. So to tie the worthiness piece back into it, so we automatically make someone else's success mean that we are not enough. Otherwise, if we were enough, we would be there. Okay. So we can look at that and be like, all right, so now that I'm aware of that, and I can look at that objectively and be like, okay, this is where my thought process is. All right. So is that true? Do I know, and using some of Byron Katie's work, do I know with 100% certainty that I'm not there because I'm not enough and there's something wrong with me? No, I can't know that. We have two different lives, two different paths, two different lessons. Our souls each need our own evolution. I don't know what they've been through, and I just know what I've been through. And what I can look at and see is, if they got there, this is my new thought. If they got there, so can I. Yes. Maybe I need to learn from them. Maybe I need to follow them. Maybe I need to reach out to them, because I want what they have, and I can also have it too, right? So it's understanding where that jealousy and that envy and that failure piece is coming from, and then asking yourself this question: okay, what else could be true?
Yes.
Do you see that? Like, do you see that connection?
I see it. It's so beautiful, because It's true. We don't know. It's their life road. We don't know what they did behind the scenes to get there. And it's not a matter of us failing. Perhaps we're maybe in between our successes. And someone just told me this right before I hopped onto this interview today. Perhaps it's not failure at all. It's in being in between successes. It's saying, "Oh, hey, they were able to accomplish that. Let me reach out to them and see how they were able to do that."
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. What
Yes.
thought can I borrow? What mindset can I borrow that they have? Because something they did worked.
Yes.
Right? Something they did worked,
Yes.
and I can try that on too.
Yes. And that is why together we thrive. So, Jillie.
Absolutely.
Whew, how can we connect with you further?
Oh, I love this question. Yes. So on Instagram, I'm at Jillie Johnston Coaching. JillieJohnston.com is my website. I'm actually today in my podcast is the Worthiness Mindset, where I go into all of this stuff on deeper level every single week. I try to put out as many posts and free content as I possibly can for you to take and implement everything that I've learned. I don't hold anything back. And then I just launched a free 5-day challenge, a week to worthiness, that's starting August 30th to September 3rd. A bunch of different exercises, tools, workshops, affirmations, guided visualizations, all the things that I would love for you to be a part of. And please, please, please reach out and connect and ask any questions, comment, whatever. I want to be in your life.
Woo, yes. You're going to want Jillie in your life. She's an incredible being who will really guide you in empowering and embodying that worthiness mindset. So thank you so much, Jillie, for joining us here today on Golden Sessions with doc.PEACE.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so honored, so honored.
You're so very welcome. You are listening to Golden Session with doc.PEACE on KNSJ 89.1 FM. That concludes today's session with the incredible Jillie Johnston. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you got that dose of inspiration that you were welcoming, and the priceless reminder that you are indeed gold, a genuine, original, loving dreamer. We all are, and together we thrive. I'm doc.PEACE. Shine on.
Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections round me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents do you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive. Let's do it. Are you my friend? I'll admit, I'm confused. I used to friend request and now I follow. Am I in this alone? I once thought that birds flew solo, each bird on its own, just feathers and bone, relying alone on their wings to soar. Now I see that even though they move independently, they are part of something much greater than what they could be individually. And like a bird, I may sing to my own music and dance to my own drum, but connections drown me, reminding me that I am not alone. My purpose is greater than me, myself, or I. I once believed that whether or not I chose to use my gifts was my prerogative. But does bearing my talents do you or I any good? Pardon my mind delay. Sometimes I may need to remind my mind what it's capable of. Jog myself from doubt to a confident state. See, I am not alone, my friend. And neither are you. I see you. We are in this flock together for the better, and together we thrive. Together we thrive.